Boom. Disconnecting the Tamiyas now. Gonna pull that back off like you originally did when you were putting on. Just want to take your connectors, and if you spin it over, you don't want to just pull them apart. You'll do damage doing that. If you spin it over, you'll see that there's a little clip on one of them. Yeah? And I'll spin it to the side so you can see. All you want to do is lean on the back of that clip and then separate. So I'll show you again. You want to lean on the back of that clip, like I'm doing there, and then just literally pull apart. And then they're safely disconnected. You can leave them inside your gun. It's completely up to you. I'm going to pull that out because this battery is not from this gun. And put that to the side. And I'm going to chuck that back on. And that goes back on like so. So I'm going to put this gun away to the side for a second. Because we're done with the Tamiya connections on that gun. Lost 2 secs, people. I shall be back. Trying to make sure I grab the next things I will need for the video. Okay. So the next type of connector within the AG setups is, and you know what, let me put that mag back because I've already got a mag. And you know, we'll leave this mag because it's a slightly different mag compared to the mags I've got down here. We're going to speak about mags soon as well. Yeah. So the second type of connectors you have is called Deans. So this is what's running on my main outdoor rifle. So again, like I said, if you want me to do another video on this more in depth, I will do on stocks, but I've already done a video. Go have a look. Should be in a short section on the channel. So I'm going to take that off. And then let me just separate that battery so you guys can see. So this currently has a adapter tool, but it's because I like to, I've got quite a few Tamiya batteries, like you can see. So I just use it because why sell them? There's no need, like the more batteries you have, the better. Because if one breaks or you run out of one on a game day, you've at least got another one. So I tend to have more batteries than I need because I've got 2, 4, 6, 7. And I think there's 1 over there in the shooting club gun, so 8. Probably a bit more than I need, to be fair. So if y'all need batteries, let me know. I'll do some giveaways on batteries. So yeah, so this is what you call a Deans connector. Very, very different from the Tamiya. Like you can see, it's got 1 pin going across, then it's got another pin going up. Yeah? Similar, it's a very similar concept. So I'm going to show you some Deans batteries. So I've got 2 of those as well here. So what you have is a NIM version. So that's a 1600 NIM, and the voltage is 9.6. So again, 1600 milliamp is the capacity, 9.6 is the voltage that will output. And if you notice, I tend to have a lot of 9.6s or 11.1s, and that's just because those are the peak voltages. It means that I should get the peak that my gun should be doing. So fire rate wise, distance wise on my shot, I'm peaking my gun to the max that I can. You know what I'm saying? That's why I tend to use the more higher voltages. Plus, you want to make sure your gun is compatible with them, because if your gun isn't, you're just going to do mad damage to your gun, which you don't want to do, because it's you that's going to have to spend the money and replace the parts. So that's a NIM battery. If you notice, it's got a Tamiya connector, a female version, because obviously the gun has the male side on it. And then what we have is a LiPo version of the same thing. So this is a 1300 milliamp, which is the capacity. And then this is a 7.4, which is the voltage. And this is a LiPo battery. It's why it looks slightly different. The NIM, like I said, with the other ones, it has the battery cells connected, the different small batteries connected. Whereas with the LiPo, it's more like they've built like a whole interface type battery. And then again, like you can see, Dean's connector. So I'm going to put that one to the side. It's your choice what you choose to use. People tend to say that NIMs are more safer batteries. So if you're noob to airsoft and you're like, I'm worried about blowing up my house, go for a NIM. The only problem with the NIM is they tend to come in 2 sticks like this. So you'll need a crane style stock, or else you won't be able to fit this inside your stock. But if you don't really care, like me, I have battery bags. I tend to charge my batteries with me sitting right next to them, keeping an eye on them. So that's why I've got lipos, because the moment, for me, I have this rule. Once my lipo starts fluffing up, you know, like when they start getting puffy, I just get rid of it. I'll go and safely dispose of it. I have local shops that have the disposal boxes, and sometimes I can go to like gun shops and they'll let you dispose them there. So yeah, that's why I tend to run it, because I know that if it does start to float, I've got a few that I can switch it out with, or I would just go and replace it. They're like 25 quid. They're not that expensive. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, some would say that's expensive, but that's like me buying an 8-ball, bro. Do you get what I'm saying? And this is something that I could use for a whole 2 years if I look after it. So yeah, so that's that. So I'm going to connect my lipo. And I tend to, you'll find a lot of the time on the channel, you'll see me run a lipo because I just prefer them. I feel like the output that you get from a lipo is slightly better than a NIM. Like NIMs are they're so reliable. They're what I call my reliable batteries. But lipos for me it gives me the peak performance. And you know me, I love pushing the performances of my gun. So similar concept. You've got one straight, a horizontal, one vertical. So you want to connect a horizontal with horizontal, vertical with vertical. So very similar thing. I'm just going to find how to line it up. So like you can see the bottoms at the bottom, the tops at the top. I want to connect and push. Now, because this gun has an electrical system, the moment I connect my gun, I don't know if you heard that beep sound that it made. I'll disconnect it and show you again. Don't know if you heard that beep. It's basically letting me know I have a battery. I'm letting you know that I've registered my battery. So if your gun has a ETIL electric trigger unit system, that will happen. If not, like the first gun I showed you that runs the Tamiya, it didn't make a noise. You have to physically check the gun. So I know that the battery is already connected and should be functional. And another thing I will say, if you do have an ETU system like that, I'll give you a life hack. Never ever have your gun on semi or auto as you're putting the battery in. Always have it on safe. Because if you do, what will happen is the battery won't register and you'll have to take it back out, switch the gun back to safe, then disconnect, reconnect, and then it would work. So save yourself the hassle of an extra minute and a half, 2 minutes, and just do it the correct way. Plus, you'll damage your electrical system by repetitive use of doing it that way. So just follow the normal way. Make sure the gun's switched to safe. Then you connect your battery. When you hear that sound, and even if you don't hear that sound because you don't have an electric trigger unit, then you can switch your gun to semi right now, and look, my gun will fire, and it's because I've done it the right way. Like I said, before you click that switch to semi and start shooting, always make sure your chamber's empty. If you notice, I've got nothing with inside that chamber. If you look down there, that's why I shot my gun, and also there's no mag in it. So that's another key bit. But like you can see, the gun now fires. Auto. Yeah. So I know my battery's connected. And then in terms of this, and then obviously you can chuck your stock on and all these other things. So I'll just show you that quickly. And then now you can run your gun as you please. And just for you soy boys, that's like, oh, it's not connected, he's capping. I've got a speed trigger. I know people are going to be like, oh, your gun is so snappy. Yeah, speed trigger, guys, invest. It's actually worth it. And then in terms of disconnecting, so again, you want to just remove your stock, chuck that to one side. And then all you literally want to do is hold one side of your connector. So hold the connector side that's attached to the gun. So that one right there is the one that's connected to the gun, the slightly darker red. And then the one that's slightly lighter is the one that's the actual battery. So I tend to hold one side, which is the darker, one side, which is the other, pull out. And now my battery is disconnected, like you guys can see. Yeah. If you do want to run adapters, you can. I'll show you that does actually work. So you'll get an adapter that has a Dean's on one side, a Tamiya on the other side. I only run this as a backup option just to be safe. So that's why you saw it inside the gun. It's just my backup option. Where the gun's sitting at home, just to save me rinks in my game batteries, I use my Tamiya's car. They're just sitting around doing nothing. So similar concept. You just want to line those two up, line those two up. Like you can see, make sure you go for the same shape, because if you try and put the wrong shape in the wrong shape, you're just going to do damage to your battery or your adapter, or both. So you want to line those up and then push in. And another thing, life hack, I want to show you. These tend to separate. I don't know if you can see that little gap. So make sure it's always pushed in before you try and attach that, because if you attach it and it's on the outside or lifted up, you're just going to mash up your connection. Yeah. So if you notice, my one's face down. It's why I'm just pushing it on. If it was faced up, I'd push it down as I'm putting it on. And then that goes in like that, and that's connected. So now you can see no gaps. And then I'll show you, I'm going to chuck. This gun runs any type of battery, so I don't have to worry about what voltage I put in it. And then I'll grab myself, well, actually, let me take the one that I took out of there. So I'll grab myself a Tamiya style battery, like you guys can see, a black Tamiya style battery. And again, you just want to literally line them up, square with square, circle with circle. Like you can see, square with square, circle with circle, and push in. Sometimes you'll find that, like right now, this is a good example of a battery. I'm pushing, the gun's making a sound, but it's not quite pushing all the way down. If you take it back off, you'll see it's because one of these things aren't lined up straightly. So there's a few ways you could do it. I tend to use just something plastic and just kind of push it up and line it back up, and then it will go in. Or you can kind of chuck it on, don't put it all the way on, and kind of wiggle. And if you notice, I've been able to wiggle it into place and it's connected. And like you heard, the gun made that sound a few times, and I'll show you quickly that it does fire. And that's with an adapter as well. So semi, and then auto. And I know some people are gonna be, oh, the gun sounded different with the two batteries that you connected. That's the variance that I'm talking about with the different voltages. One will make your auto sound slower, but your semi sound more snappier, and one will make your semi sound just averagey and make your auto sound nuts. So it just depends on what variants you want to go for. It's why I tend to have several different styles of battery, because then I at least have the option of switching, whether it's the 7.4, whether it's the 11.1. And another thing is there's different styles. I'll show you quickly. There's different styles of voltage outlets per a shot. So for example, with this one, if you have a look, it says 20C but 22A. If you can see that, yeah? This one says 20C but 24A. So it's why when I changed the batteries over, you heard the variance in how the gun fires, because one is giving me a slightly better output per a shot, and one is just giving me, it's not a standard output, it's a really good output, but obviously you can hear the variance. And then a 7.4 will just never ever sound as good as an 11.1, because it's just not, like, there's quite a difference in the voltage. 11 and 7, that's what, nearly 3-4, that's 4 volts variance. That's quite a lot in volts if you want to talk about it that way. So I tend to go for the more slightly higher, because like I said, I want the peak performance out of my weapon. So yeah, so that's how you connect and disconnect batteries on AEGs. Another myth that I wanted to speak on quickly while I'm on here talking about AEGs and stuff like that is, one of my friends keeps on having issues with like chrono at game sites. And earlier he basically said to me, like, bro, I'm thinking of buying a gas rifle to avoid chrono, like to avoid problems at chrono. Now essentially, I'll explain what his first problem was. He bought an AEG. He bought a Spectre Arms FO1. If you don't know that gun, please go Google it. You'll get what I'm talking about. Yeah, but he bought the long barrel version, not the one I've got. Because the one I just showed you guys, though the barrel is long on that gun, it's long because I've made it long. Do you know what? Let me not rush this process, because I don't want to mash up my wiring. Let me take my time and do it properly. But yeah, he basically bought the long barrel one. Now, anyone who knows Airsoft will know the longer your barrel is, the higher your FPS is. And I know some people might disagree with me, but test that concept and you'll see what I'm saying. Like, if you buy a gun and your gun shoots 220 FPS out the box, up your barrel, yeah, by 50, 60 millimeters, and go and test your gun and see if your gun's not shooting 260, 280 now, 290 if you're lucky. Do you get what I'm saying? Just test it. I've did it enough times that I know that that's the truth. It ups your FPS just ever so slightly. So going from an AEG, and I'll show you quickly, going from an AEG to a gas rifle won't necessarily solve that problem. And I know this because what I've done recently myself is invested in a gas rifle myself. So this is the GHK G5. Beautiful gun. It runs gas mags. So these, I'll show you another thing that I wanted to talk about today. So these are AG mags, yeah? Nothing really in them apart from springs and plastic and polymer. You get what I'm saying? Spring and polymer. You know what I'm saying? And plastic, yeah, polymer is plastic. And you literally, they're just fill from the top and shove in. So I'll show you quickly. Let me put this G5 to the side for a sec, because I did want to talk about mags. Fill and shove them in and you're good to shoot. That's just how they run, yeah? Fill, and then you can chuck them in. And I'll show you, because I've got a few different styles of them. So I've got ones that I've done spray paints to, ones that I've added like camos from different cartoons and stuff. But these are essentially the same mag, just painted differently. Because if you notice, they're exactly the same mag. They're called the PMG 140s. They hold 140 rounds. Then you have something like this. This is a new Pro mag. Very decent mag, I'm not going to lie to you. Probably the best new Pro mag I've come across. This holds 150 and it has a double load spring type system. So similar, you see like how they have uppers, but you can't see the upper on this one. You can see the BBs as they load into this one. So it's why I originally bought this, because it just lets me, like, say I'm in the middle of a game and I'm confused if I've got enough bullets in the mag. I'll just pop the mag quick, boom, pop the mag, give it a quick check. All right, I know I've at least got like 10 to 15 rounds in there. Chuck that back in and we're good to go. Move through the field. Which is why I like these mags. Plus they hold a bit more. 150 is very hard to find an AEG mag. So AEGs are electric guns, yeah? It's hard to find an electric gun mag for an M4, because these are M4 style mags that hold more than 150. And normally, if you do want a mag that holds more than 150, and obviously this camo, it didn't come like this. I had to do this. So I got some Kit Kats from China. My boy went over there. I bought some off him. So I wanted to do something cool. This was probably the first mag I customed, to be fair. So yeah, it's hard to find a mag that holds more than 150 unless you're going to spend like 50, 60 quid. They averagely sell these bad boys for about 20 quid. Yeah? So that's that. The whole point of why I showed you that is there's different style AEG M4 mags. If you notice, they're similar sizing. And you know what? There's one more I can show you. I've got another 2 different style of mags, just so that you guys get an understanding of AEG mags and prices. Okay. So I've actually got 6 different styles of mags. Standard, custom, the new Pro ones, and these 2 are from the same company. So these are both PMGs and they hold 140. This is a new Pro one. This holds 150. Yeah, and you've got the channel at the top that you can see things. All 3 of these you load from the top. So if you notice, they all have those chambers. You literally take a speed loader, chuck that in the top, push down and squeeze, 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 squeeze. Push down, and I'll separate them so you can actually see. Push down, squeeze, 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 squeeze. That's how you'd load, yeah? All of them are the same type system. Push down, squeeze, 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 and then remove, yeah? So those are the main freestyle mags that I use. I have 2 other styles, and you're probably like, what's this on the side? I'll come to this, because this, if I was to shove this in the chamber of my my AEG, I would damage that gun and I'd probably damage the mag. This is what you call a gas M4 mag. So this is something that would go in my GHK G5. That's why it's got a gas chamber at the top. And then you have your loading slot there. And these mags are metal, whereas the other ones are polymer. And then you got your fill-in chamber, your gas release chamber, etc., etc. But we'll talk about that one later. Then another style mag I've got. This one's also from PMG, or this one's from the company called FGHK Ltd. But I say they're similar to the PMG mags just because it's the same company that manufactures them. It's just a different company who sells the mag to you, if you get what I mean. Very similar, and I'll show you as well, very similar to these mags. The only benefit here is, and you know what, they are very similar. Yeah, so do you see, it's the same company that manufactures them. Which is interesting, because this is the Gen 2 mag. This says Gen 2, and this says Gen 3. So let me actually correct myself. This is for the, this one's called the AMOEBA Aries. And then this one's saying for all AR-15s. So this is, do you know what's interesting? I didn't even clock that on the mag before. This mag says Gen 2 and this says Gen 3. So this looks like this is the upgrade to this bad boy. And essentially why I like this mag here is because you can see the BBs as you fill it. Obviously I've covered it with, again, camo and cool little things because I do what I do, but yeah. If this didn't have all of this on it, you'd essentially be able to see your BBs all the way throughout. So you'd be able to pull out your, well, you don't even have to pull out your mag, because the thing I like with this mag is, let me shut that back up there. The thing I like about this mag is, from it's inside the gun, all you'd literally have to do, remember, normally this wouldn't have all this camo on it. So all you'd have to literally do is turn your gun to the side and you'd be able to look and see how far your BBs have gone through it. You can kind of see it from the top stance. Like, you can see through. But, yeah. And you know, interestingly, these mags are so cheap. They're cheaper than the Gen 2s. The Gen 2s are £13 a pop. These are £11 a pop. Which doesn't really make sense to me, because I feel like these are slightly better. But why they probably charge a bit more for the other ones is because the other ones hold 140, these hold 130. So maybe that's the variance in the price. And there isn't much difference in terms of the size. They're sized near enough the same. Tell a lie. The Gen 3 is a bit shorter. Just so you guys can see. It's by only like an inch or two, but yeah, it's actually shorter. Yeah. So those are AG style mags that go into electric M4s. Yeah. And then those are called mid-cap mags. So those are mags that you don't have to wind for them to shoot. Now these are high cap mags. If you notice, these have windy things at the bottom, and these bad boys do not. So these are the mid caps, because you don't have to wind them. You just load them, plug and play, you can shoot. These are high caps, high cap mags. Same platform, so same M4. I'll show you quickly. They all go into my M4. You know what I'm saying? And they fire and feed. That's why I've got them. Yeah, so you can see that they're M4 mags. Oh, that one was loaded. So yeah, so you guys can see I'm not capping, like they're M4 style mags. The only difference with these is they tend to hold a lot more higher capacity because you have the winding system, and how you feel these are slightly different. So you pop the top chamber right here, you load your BBs, or just chuck them in there, should I say, chuck them in. You close that. And I think this one's got BBs, so I can show you on this one. So you close that, and then you essentially just wind this wheel right here. And as I'm winding, if you notice what it's doing, and you know what, there's not enough BBs in it for it to do what I'm trying to show you guys. So let me just chuck some more in. So you're gonna chuck some in that chamber right there, like I'm doing. You know, I should keep this one loaded because this is my backup test mag. So I just need to check a gun's working quickly. I tend to just chuck this in. And then as I wind, if you notice right in the center, the BBs tense themselves up right to the top. And then I'll show you quickly. If I press that, they'll feed out. And it's because I've obviously winded it and it's brought itself to the top. These mags, some may ask why I use these mags compared to the other mags. So the benefits, and obviously the amount, why I use these compared to the other ones. So the first thing is, all those mags I just showed you hold between 130 and 140 BBs. This holds 750, this holds 500. So your first thing is capacity. You hold a lot more in a high cap than a mid cap. That's your first thing. Secondly, For a new player, they're probably just a bit more better. It saves you having to reload as much. Plus, that windy thing, as annoying as it is, it's good, because what it does is it allows a new player to get used to the process of understanding that there's a reload that needs to happen. Whereas when you've got these kind of style mags where it's just plug and play, they end up in positions where they run into somebody, they haven't checked their mags, they're shooting the mags empty, and they end up getting killed that way. So I always advise new players, start with high caps. Start with high caps. If it gets annoying long term, the windy, then go to mid caps. But start here, bigger capacity, and you're training your brain when to reload and how to keep your gun equipped with BBs in it. Yeah, and the only really variance between these two is the size. One holds 750 and one holds 500. Well, tell a lie, I think this one holds 950 if I'm correct. Okay, if this is my new pro one, yeah, this new pro one holds 950. This holds 500. Yeah, that's AEG mags. You have high caps, which are windy mags, and then you've got, if I can pick up these, then you've got what we call mid caps. Let me see if I can hold on to the other one as well. Then you've got mid caps, which are not windy, they're just plug and play. Yeah, and they load from the top. Whereas these, you have to put it in the chamber and wind before they'll shoot. So yeah, so that's AEG mags, guys. There's different ways. So with mid caps, with high caps, sorry, there's different ways. With high caps, sorry, there's only one way to load this, through the chamber and winding. However, with these bad boys, you have multiple loading option types. So let me put these away and I'll show you what I mean. So the one I showed you is what you call a standard speed loader. They come in different styles and fashions and colors. So this is one I got from, I think I got this one from Bigfoot, if I'm correct. I think this one was from Bigfoot. Yeah, I think this one was from Bigfoot. And then I've got one, no, actually, tell a lie. This one came from New Pro. This is a New Pro mag. Not mag, speed loader. And then I've got one from Bigfoot. I could sit here telling you what I think's better and what I think's better, but I would just say try and you'll see the difference. My chosen go-to is this bad boy from Bigfoot, just because it's reliable. It always works. Whereas these, sometimes you can run into problems with them just because that chamber, if the chamber gets too clogged with BBs, that spring system won't work. And it's a very simple system. It's that BBs get filled into this chamber here. Very similar to this one. Because the only difference between these two mags is, these two speed loaders is capacity. They use the same spring type system. So BBs get loaded into those chambers. They sit within this section. They roll down into this little window here. And as you press, it feeds it in. And you can kind of see the system work anyway. As it feeds it into that section right here, that spring just presses it down into the mag. If it won't get stuck, yeah. Just presses down into the mag. Yeah? And it's a similar thing here. It gets loaded, falls down into this little chamber system right here, and then it gets loaded in by the spring working. That one you can see a bit less, but if you look from this side, you'll be able to understand what's kind of happening. It pushes down straight into the mag. Because there's another little spring section down here. It's just covered with dark plastic. So yeah, the only difference between these three is capacity. This holds 90, this holds 100 if I'm correct, this holds 150 if I'm correct. Yeah, 150. Yeah, so those are the three main styles of loaders. These will load your standard pistol mags, so I'll show you what I mean. So stuff like this, which is a high capper mag, or stuff like that look like this, like a Glock mag. I would have took out my Glock mag, but that's packed away somewhere else. Yeah, and it's just a similar system. You can either feed from the top, I'll show you what I mean, because this one has a lip on it. So if you notice, this one has a lip. You can feed from the top, so I tend to pull that down, chuck it over the top. And if you notice, I can feed, show you what I'm doing, feed from the top, yeah? So that's one way you could do it. Or you could use, don't want to lose any unnecessary BBs. Or you could pull this down like this and load from this section here, yeah? Because there's a little cutout. I don't know if you can see it, like the mag opens up right here. That section, whereas that section I couldn't load from there, it would just keep falling out. I could load from right there. And I'll show you what I mean quickly. Let me load some BBs in this so you can see what I'm talking about. So you guys know it's not just chattings. So you'd pull that section open and load in like that. Yeah? You can see? And then now that mag's loaded. I've missed a little gap there, but that's life. So yeah, so that's that. These mags will load M4s as well, but they're probably not the best option for M4s. These are what I averagely load my pistols and SMGs with, because they hold roughly what my pistols and SMGs hold. Yeah, and they're just quick and easy. You can keep these in your body gear and they don't cause much issues, basically. So I'm gonna put these away quickly. And I'll leave this one out just for video reference. So what you also have is, Olden do one of these. This one is a new Pro one. You've got an M4 style speed loader. So this holds 1,000 BBs, which is a big variance compared to your 150, which is why I'm showing you. I would tend to have one of these for my pistol, and then I'll have one of these for, say, my M4, because then I know my M4 is good for majority of the day. I just have to keep filling it. So how this one's work is, you pop a top, you fill your BBs in here. Yep. When you filled your BBs in there, you want to chuck that on only an AEG style mag. You see, if you chuck one of these, which is a gas M4, because look at the difference. Please don't break your mags. It's just not built for it. Even the width wise, you can see like a gas mag, a AEG mag, a gas mag, a AEG mag. Even look at the difference around it. Please don't let me hear nobody try that. Gas mag, AEG mag, gas mag, AEG mag, gas mag. You can even see just the size difference. Just don't do it to yourself. Save your money. I'm gonna put that gas mag to the side. So yeah, once your BBs are loaded at the top, you wanna pull this little arm up, and your one should have like a little arm to hold on to. I've broken my arm off, yeah? You want to turn that over, upside down. You wanna line up the nozzle of your AEG mag. And your nozzle of the AEG mag with the nozzle of the loader, like you can see there. And you just want to chuck that over and on into that little slot right there. Now what you're going to get is a gap like that. You want to just push. You've heard it click in. Now you want to turn this upside down so that the speed loader can feed into the mag. And then now you see an arrow on the system. Only go the way that the arrow is saying. If you go the opposite way, you're just going to do damage to your speed loader. So now that that's open, I'm going to turn, and every so often give it a little shake just to free up the BBs. Probably not going to fill it all the way. And then now, when you can feel it click that it's full, I turn it upside down, because you don't want all your BBs spilling out everywhere. And then if you spin it, you'll see a release button. Don't just pull your mag out. You'll do damage to your system. Press this button down. And if you notice, as I pressed it, the mag moved slightly, because that's it relieving itself from the tension. Press it down, pop out. And like you can see, if you look very closely, I've got BBs in the system. They haven't filled all the way throughout the mag, but it's because I haven't filled the mag on purpose. And then you always have a couple stray BBs. So I tend to just pop the chamber and chuck those bad boys back in. Yeah? Boom. So, yeah. Anyone who's like, oh, what system are you running? I tend to have at least maybe 2 of these on me and 1 of these, because that's 1,000 BBs and that's 150 times 2. And I can carry this around in my body gear, and I can carry this around maybe in like one of my dump pouches. It is heavy if it's full, so I will say that maybe only fill it halfway, because then you're not putting too much weight on your belt, essentially. So yeah, that's speed loaders for you. One thing I do want to speak about quickly though is the gas mags. I know some people are going to say to me, but how the bloody hell do you fill a gas mag? So there's a few ways. I've seen guns that come with like it looks like a long ass like wire. It's like a plastic bar. And essentially what you do with that bar is you fill it with BBs and then you line it up with this section right here at the top. And then you just shove, 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 and it fills. This gun, unfortunately, didn't come with one of those. So what I tend to do is I tend to use one of the nozzles. I'll show you quickly what I mean. Let me put some BBs in there. Okay, do you know what? There's a few in there, so it should be all right. And I tend to line it up with the nozzle. That's why I get one. I've always got one of these that have a nozzle, especially when I'm running my gas mag. You know what I'm saying? I line it up with the top like so it sits over the top. Like you can see, mine is a little bit broken, but that's life. And then I just feed. Click and feed. Oh, kind of messed up there. Click and feed. And like you can see, I've got a few BBs in there. I might even see if I can get the last couple in, 'cause I haven't shot the gas gun in a couple of days, so it would be nice to just run through the system and clear it up and make sure it's operating like it should, 'cause I want to try and bring that gas gun to a game, hopefully next week. So just lined it up, put my hands over it, load and feed. It is a bit firm to do compared to most other things, but these gas mags are always a nightmare to load anyway. And then like you can see, that one's loaded. Yeah. And then in terms of loading your gas, because these ones use gas, unlike these bad boys right here that use electric, you just want to line up your gas nozzle with that chamber right there, squeeze until you hear the hissing stop, and then your mag is full. Yeah. Please, 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 I don't want to see anyone on YouTube do this. Please don't let me see anyone put a gas mag in this chamber right here, because if I'm not going to push it all the way, I'm just going to show you guys quickly. If you notice how big it is, yeah, it is the size that it will fit in the chamber, but it won't go all the way. Do you hear that sound? I'm not going to push any harder because I don't want to damage my gun. Whereas with the gun that it's actually built for, if you have a look at the chamber is very different to an AEG chamber. It has the gas valve and all of these things in there. And if you notice, the moment I chuck this in, slots in nicely. There's no knock, 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 knock. And it's because it's built for this bad boy. Yeah? So I'm going to charge this one and keep it on safe, just so that there's something in the barrel. And if you notice, these tend to have open chambers, so you can see inside them and you can see the BB being ready to loaded. Yeah? I'm going to leave that on safe because I don't want that to shoot. I'll give that a couple shots when I'm done this video. So yeah, please, gas mags with gas guns, please. And AEGs, please, with AEGs. Yeah? So that's that, people. So much people have asked me to do this video, and I kind of just wanted to do it and get it done and out the way.